and we've got 245 Water Street. You ready to present? Thank you.
So thank you for...
Just in the nick of time, Jason. The
And
mate is...
Sir, will you give that to him? Thank you.
Oh, I know this guy. He's still in that building. Maybe he does have that building. Yeah, he's not. Great.
Okay, come on, Jason. All right, excuse us.
So thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Jean Lee. I'm an associate at MBB Architects and the project manager for the renovation at 245 Water Street. So 245 Water Street is located between Beekman Street and Peck Slip. It's in the South Street Seaport Historic District. So to go over some of the goals of this renovation project, we are converting this building from two-family to a multi-family use. Another goal of ours is to improve the neighborhood streetscape, and part of that is adding a commercial space to the ground floor, a small commercial space. And we also want to make the building fully accessible for the disabled at the ground, including at the ground level and the roof level. And last, we want to improve the energy efficiency, resiliency, and indoor quality, air quality of this building by designing it to Passive House standards. So just in case anyone's not familiar, Passive House is a building standard that uses highly insulated walls, high-performance windows, airtight construction, and a balanced filtered ventilation system. And this results in a building that really significantly reduces energy use, has a very stable interior temperature, and improved indoor air quality. So currently, Passive House is considered the gold standard of sustainable design. So to achieve these goals, the project scope is a full interior renovation, a bulkhead addition, and a solar energy system on the roof. I'll get into that a little bit more, but this is a new requirement for local law 92-94. Window replacement and a storefront installation. So tonight I'm going to focus on the storefront installation, the front facade window replacement, and the roof work. We will show you the full scope, but some of that will be approved at LPC staff level. So some history on the building. The building was built in 1835. And on the far left is a tax photo from 1940, and you can see here that a cornice has been added, that was believed to be added in the late 1800s, and, thank you. Is it this? This is, okay.
Yeah.
Where am I?
It doesn't really show on the TV.
We can see the cornices at the top of the building.
So the cornice is there, and you can see the brick masonry facade, and below the granite architrave and piers, and infilled between those piers, it looks like it's a wood door system that's set back from the face of the granite. The middle photo is from the 1960s, and you can see here that the brick has been painted over, and also that the storefront level between the bays has been infilled with brick and also with roll-up shutters. And this is the current photo of the building. So the building underwent a significant renovation in 2008, and part of that was replacing the cornice with a new fiberglass replica. And there was also significant work done to the masonry facade. There was repointing work done as well as brick replacement. But what still remains is the painted granite architrave and piers, as well as the infill and roll-up shutters. So I'll start tonight with the storefront installation. So when we started our design, we looked at what else had been done in the neighborhood. So on the top left is 247 Water Street, our neighbor, and they have a very similar granite architrave and pier system that is infilled with a wood storefront system. Below that is a project on Water Street, and it also has a very similar, granite piers and infilled with a wood and glass storefront system that comes all the way down to the sidewalk. And these two other photos are also from Water Street, showing a very similar strategy for the storefront. And something that is very common throughout the South Street Seaport District is storefront systems that have glazing coming up to a certain height, and below that, solid wood with an inset. So that's something that you see throughout the district, and something that we also have in our design. So to go into the scope of work, on the left is the existing, on the right is the proposed. So at the storefront level, the first thing we want to do is strip the paint from the granite to expose from the architrave piers to expose the existing granite. And between the piers, remove the brick infill, remove the roll-up shutter doors, and also remove the water table between the piers. And that will allow us to install a new wood and glass storefront system. So this next slide is a rendered elevation of our proposed design. And to orient you, on the right side is the main residential entry. On the far left is the service entry, and that also serves as the second means of egress for the residential building. And the middle three bays are for retail, the small retail space on the ground floor. So you can see here where part of the reason we're removing the water table is so that all of these entries can be at grade, so that someone in a wheelchair can enter this building easily. Another thing I want to point out about our design, so similar to what you just saw in the previous photos, we're bringing the glazing down to the height of that existing water table, and below that we have solid wood with an inset wood panel. So that's very consistent with what's in the neighborhood already. And below that we have a forged stone base. So the granite piers, the granite piers and architrave, after we strip the paint, we want to do repair work. So there's been some damage to the surface of the granite over the years, and also a number of these capitals have been cut up when they installed the roll-up shutter doors and for other reasons. So we will either replace those or add Dutchman to those with new granite to match, or salvage granite if we can get it. And at the base of these piers, currently there does not appear to be granite. So currently it appears the granite either ends here or here. We're going to do some probes to find out, and we will also be we're also proposing to add granite at the base of the piers. And last thing on this slide is the dashed areas are the areas that we think may have signage in the future, but we will be looking at that in a separate approvals process, so not tonight.
And is that a staff approval now, signage, if it complies with the guidelines, or do
We
you have
have
to?
not proposed any
No,
sign-
maybe Jason knows
I
that.
mean, there's a staff level available, I don't
Right.
know what it is for this district, but there must be.
okay.
Blade sign would be staff level.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure
Okay.
there's something.
Yeah, I think the kind of signage we would be thinking about, is right on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
glass or right on the architrave, but
Mhm.
we're not quite there yet. So material-wise, the system will be a wood frame system, and that will be painted Benjamin Moore flint, which is a dark, handsome charcoal color. The glazing will be clear glass at the residential entry and at the cafe, and the glazing will be triple glazed to meet the Passive House building standard, and at the service entry we'll have etched glass. And below the storefront system we have a blue stone sill, 4 inches tall. So going a bit into the details, this is a plan detail of the storefront. Something I want to point out here is that the storefront is set back from the face of the granite, so it'll bring back depth to the facade that existed historically. And some more details of the door detail on the left, and the window head and sill detail on the right. So the next scope is the front facade window replacement. So a big part of Passive House is having a very robust envelope, and the windows are a very big part of that. So we are keeping all of the existing brick openings, as well as the brownstone sill and lintels, so we're just replacing the window. And we're replacing it with a simulated double-hung window with wood frames. It's by a company called Zola, and the Zola system has been approved by LPC for other historic districts, but it'll look exactly like a standard double hung that's there, except that it'll have much higher performance. So these are some details, the top being the existing, the bottom being the proposed. So here the window, the face of the window is going to be set back the same distance as the current window. So that depth of the facade will be maintained in the new system. And these are some section details through the windows, and existing on the left, proposed on the right. Going into materials, the wood frames will be painted Benjamin Moore black on the exterior, and the glazing will be clear, again triple glazed for Passive House. And we'll keep the existing brick opening and the existing sill and lintels, which are brownstone. And finally, this is the rear elevation, which we're showing you for reference. This is part of the LPC staff level approval. We're going to do the same kind of window replacement on the rear facade with the simulated double hung, and no changes to the window openings themselves.
Are the windows in poor condition, or are you just doing this to get the Passive House effect?
Yeah, it's really the Passive House performance. Currently they're double glazed, and what we're going to is a triple glazed window, which is much better thermally. And this is the side elevation. Again, this is an area that will be approved at staff level. There are two windows currently on the lot line. We don't believe that they are rated, so they're not code compliant, and we're just proposing to fill them in with matching masonry. So the last scope I want to go into is the roof work, but just to show you, these are this is the interior demolition work and interior work that is being proposed, which we will review with the LPC staff.
And the new elevators because of the ADA for the roof?
Yeah, great question. There's a few reasons. So currently there's a small elevator, serves floors 1 through 5. So we're proposing a larger elevator that is needed for accessibility, and also to fit a stretcher, which is now code required. And it will serve from the first floor all the way up to the roof level to make the roof level fully accessible. And that's the reason for the elevator change.
Do you know when that stretcher requirement took effect?
It has been in effect for quite some time. It depends on the level of renovation, and the level of renovation we're proposing is significant enough that we need to provide that.
You probably mentioned this, you're converting a two-family into what, a
Multi.
six?
Multi.
Well, what is multi? in this
4
case?
units.
Oh, 4 units.
Yes.
Okay.
1 unit per floor. Because of the multifamily change, we're also replacing the stair core. The current stair core is not code compliant for multifamily, so we're going to a scissor stair. On the roof level, which is this plan, we are demolishing the existing bulkhead, the existing stair and elevator bulkhead, and removing the existing roof buildup, as well as some minor features, the guardrail along the edge. There's a skylight and pergola there that will be removed as well. And what we're proposing is a new elevator and stair bulkhead. So the new elevator and stair will run to the roof level. There'll be new roof buildup and new guardrail. And the solar energy system. So the solar energy system is part of local law 9294, which owners are now required, if they're replacing their roof, to provide either a green roof or a solar energy system. And on this project, we will be providing a solar energy system to comply. And because we want to keep the roof as an amenity for the residents, so as a roof terrace, we need to elevate the solar panels above the roof deck. So to go into the elevations, this is the existing bulkhead that will be demolished. This bulkhead was built in as part of the 2008 renovation. And what we're proposing on the taller element on the right is the elevator bulkhead. And then the lower element is the solar energy system that has been elevated above the roof deck level.
Oh, so you're adding 25 feet.
25, that's what I got.
Yeah, we'll
And
see.
you have to have the stair bulkhead above the elevator bulkhead for...
No, so this, we'll go into the sections, and I think it'll be clear, and I'll go into why the elevator bulkhead is the height that it is. So this is a section through the solar energy system, so this is the canopy that elevates it above the deck level, and it's set back about 14.6 from the face of the facade. And as you can see here, it's not visible directly from across the street. We're also putting in a new guardrail, 42 inches high, code required there as well. And again, that's set back from the edge of the cornice, so you won't see that from the street.
Yeah, but...
All right, so going into the elevator. So the elevator is going to the roof level, and from the roof level, it requires a 16-foot overrun, and on top of that, the elevator machine room.
Whoa.
So what you're seeing to the left, right here, is an exterior stair that is to access the elevator machine room, and that will be screened by the same cladding material as the rest of the bulkhead.
Yeah.
And to the right is the stair bulkhead, which is lower and to the rear, and that'll have some mechanical equipment as well as a guardrail.
And you're spending a lot of money on this building. Did you
Yeah.
consider putting the mechanicals in the basement?
So for this, this is a traction elevator, and we need the machine room needs to be at the top
Right, if you're using a traction
if
elevator.
you're using.
And you've chosen, regardless of LPC, you've chosen to use a traction elevator, correct?
Well, we obviously have to get your approval.
No, what I'm asking is, you have alternatives, correct?
Yes, so we've been
Did you
working
consider
with-
them?
Yes. So actually, why don't I show you the mock-up photo? So we built a mock-up, and you can see what it looks like visually in the context of
But-
the neighborhood. And I also have a document kind of comparing the hydraulic versus the,
Oh, good.
the traction.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
definitely happy to go into that further. So we built a mock-up that of both the elevator bulkhead as well as the roof, the canopy for the solar energy system. So this view is from Water Street to Peck Slip. So it's above is the existing, below is the volume of the roof additions covered in orange mesh. So as you can see, it will be viewed in context with the adjacent building, which has also a fairly significant bulkhead. And this is from Water Street and Beekman, and this is the existing, this is the proposed. Our proposed bulkhead is nearly invisible from this corner.
Water.
This is from Pearl Street and Peck Slip.
Whoa.
So this is the view across the parking lot that is currently visible. If there is a building built here in the future, obviously this view would be quite different, and you wouldn't see this. But as you can see, we are lower than the bulkhead directly to our right, as well as the darker bulkhead over on Peck Slip and Front Street.
But but the bulkhead on to your right, that's the Blue School, isn't that Blue?
Yeah.
Is that
Blue,
the Siemens
Used to be
Siemens
Blue. Yes,
Institute,
yes.
yeah,
So
and that
that
was,
was-
we kind of liked that when that went in there,
Right.
all those years ago.
That was, I think, that never came, it was just before I think it was just before designation,
How could it be?
huh?
How could it be before designation of the South Street Seaport?
Because.
Yeah,
because it was-
67.
it-
No,
It was
no, no, no.
77.
May have been
Okay.
before you and I,
Right,
before
okay,
99,
right.
that's what,
right.
before Bruce it means, you know.
BC.
B-B-E, before Bruce Airman.
Which doesn't seem possible.
No, that's right. Okay,
I was
yeah.
here.
So,
I do remember.
No one's before Mark, I'm a Bruce.
Go learner.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
alright, so
forgive us.
this final mock-up image, again, existing above, proposed at the bottom, you can see it, viewed in the context of the bulkheads that are existing within South Street Seaport. It is not the tallest.
Not yet.
Not yet, right.
And it won't be. So going to materials, we're proposing cladding the bulkhead in a light gray fiber cement board, which obviously we've selected this to be as visually unobtrusive as possible, and also to distinguish it from the historic.
Yeah,
part
the
of
materials are
building.
here.
Yes.
Okay, Mark, yeah, you keep,
Okay.
Keep going.
And we have on the canopy that raises the solar energy system, that'll be a steel structure, which will be painted the same color as the storefront, Benjamin Moore Flint. And the PV panels will be above, so not visible. On the underside of this canopy, we are going to just clad it in a slatted black locust wood. And the guardrail will also be painted that same Benjamin Moore Flint color. And the pavers on the roof, which won't be visible, will be gray Indiana limestone. So just to recap, the scopes of work tonight, storefront installation, front facade, window replacement, and the roof work. These are all important pieces in helping us achieve the goals, which are, improving the neighborhood streetscape with the storefront installation and adding a small commercial space to the ground floor, and also creating a multifamily residential building that has excellent energy efficiency, resiliency, because of the passive house system, and a building that is fully accessible to residents who are disabled on all floors of the building.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, it was a very thorough presentation.
You were going to
You were-
compare-
you did
Yes.
mention you were going to show the difference between traction and under.
Yes,
Okay.
but I actually have a USB
Yep,
with some
yep.
more files. I can
Or
pull
can
that
you,
up. It wasn't part of-
what's the height difference?
Okay, yeah, let's go back to that section.
79 feet versus what?
So with so let me make the case for why we'd like to go with the hydraulic elevator. We're working with VDA, which is, one of the top elevator consultants in the city, and there's only one elevator in this building, and the advantage of traction compared to hydraulic is the reliability of the traction elevator. It's just a better system, and it's a faster system. We've all been in that elevator where it just feels like it takes a little bit too long than we think it's going to take. So traction gives you the speed, and it also gives you the reliability. Hydraulic, okay. Let me take out one of these. Okay.
Was there ever an elevator in this building prior to this?
There's
There's
one there right
currently a
now.
There
hydraulic
currently is
elevator.
one.
Yeah, it
It was-
doesn't run to the roof level.
Right, so it was restored in 2008. It was Chris, what's he called, who did it?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure, I know who you mean.
Chris, what's he called? Yeah, he did all of that all at the same time.
Okay.
Back in the early 2Ks, right, Jason?
I'm a
No.
2007er
Oh,
for that block, so I.
okay.
I wasn't-
It was before you.
I
Yeah,
know who
yeah.
you mean.
Yeah, Chris, he did a lot of nice work.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember his last name, but I,
Chris something or
and
other.
he lived in Tribeca,
Yeah,
as I recall.
yeah, he did some good work.
Also, I don't think you can have mechanical space that close to the water, that you're not allowed to have a mechanical room
On base.
below
Oh,
grade
if you're in a flood
in a flood zone.
In a flood zone?
Yeah, in the hydraulic elevator, we would be putting it on the ground floor, and you're right, we would have to accommodate the.
Any elevator that has any,
Mm.
mechanical space below
Okay.
grade in a flood zone, I think is probably
Okay.
permissible.
All right.
Correct.
so-
But you would have put it on the first floor, which then would occupy the
Yeah,
space
I
that
mean,
you
that's
have
getting-
programmed for Retail.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's
With
getting a
those
little,
maintenance.
I mean,
So that's the main reason, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
The overrun for
you're gonna get
the,
your checkbook out and contribute to this.
the overrun for the hydraulic system is 15 feet, which is
Right.
lower, and as you said, the elevator machine room would be on the first floor.
Okay.
In that scenario, but taking away from the retail space.
Yeah. I'd have number 0 in a floodplain not allowed, because that's pretty convincing. So there you go, Vicky. Is that right? I mean, are we agreed on that? Is that
Wait,
true?
where is that on, the- what are you?
Well,
I'm
which
saying
line
it's
are
not
you
there,
referring
but-
to?
No,
That can be.
Yeah, but I mean, for future argument, if you
Yeah.
point out, you consider the hydraulic, you'd love to do the hydraulic, but unfortunately you can't do the hydraulic because it's in a flood zone.
So I'm sure
Yeah.
though, in your research,
Yes,
Eliminate.
is the engineer here? No.
the engineer's not here.
You must have thoroughly researched this, and
Yes.
I'm just curious, why didn't you, if in fact, your particular location does not allow a sub-street level, mechanical room for, or, you know, you didn't mention it. I mean, is that a fact, or is
I
it?
believe, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, yes, we could do, I wouldn't say gymnastics, but we could significantly alter the layout and reduce the retail space.
Yeah.
No,
to
that's not what I'm
elevate
asking.
the
Did
elevator
you
machine.
vet, in fact, and confirm that you could not do it, sub-grade? Or is we just bring it up now and you?
We can't fit one in subgrade, the cellar does not have enough space, so that wasn't
Okay.
even
So
considered.
that's
Okay.
the issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, but anyway, that was
And
pretty
whether
impressive, because you know, you've got a good argument there, it could be even stronger, but, okay, so we get
Yes, you're
it,
right.
we get it. Okay, so let's have, it was a very
Yes.
thorough presentation, thank you, let's go around, Susan,
Still, I'll come back.
Vicky,
Well, I think, you know, other than the obvious visual, I think this is an excellent project, really well thought out. Well done, well planned. By the way, is this like, 4 condo co-ops, 1 per floor?
It is, the client is, Trinity Church, and it is for their
Oh.
internal use.
oh,
Oh.
Sorry, did I push?
That's okay.
no,
But
we
it's not
can
a-
understand.
It's
We
not
now
condo, I just wanted
understand.
to
And
do that. I
yeah.
just wanted to
Oh,
include
so that's why
that.
the handicap might
Yeah.
be live there. Because I was like, wow, everyone can afford it. I'm gonna qualify tomorrow.
Put your checkbook away, Bruce.
Excellent, no, really, well done. Well,
Okay.
I love the fact that you even went as far as choosing this color for the handrail, which means that, you know, it looked black, but it's not black. So it brings a certain life and vibrancy to the building.
Vera,
Yeah, that was a very nice presentation. Thank you for that. I was disturbed about the height of the bulkhead, but it seems that we have no choice. The other question I had though was taking away a lot of historic fabric on the retail
That's the
level.
part that I object.
Can we retain some of that? You know, some you need entrance to get to the upstairs. Along the street there, right, along there is a step up. There is some that is being retained. Do we need to get rid of all of that? So you have 1, 2,
So currently there's 2 steps up to the
1,
entry.
2, 3, 4, 5,
yeah.
right? Right,
Yep.
so.
So, you know, we did
That
think
knee
about,
wall.
we did think about retaining that knee wall. I think the challenge is because it's a multifamily use, we need to have a second means of egress. So we already have 2 entrances that need to be at grade. And then you add the retail entrance to that, and you know, in the end, if you're retaining the water table, you're kind of ending up with just 2 odd bays.
Yeah, just mess up the elevation.
And it would just, I think it would look less consistent by retaining it than bringing it down. And I think setting the height of the glazing at that historic water table is kind of our way of
Yeah.
really
that's fair.
recalling that.
Homage to it. Thanks.
Yeah.
From the 1940s tax photo, it also appears that there was a loading dock at that level. So it's true that there is historic material there, but it would not have been visible in the original
Right.
configuration.
No, absolutely. It'll be street friendly.
Okay.
Those are my.
Jason?
I'm curious about the 1/1 windows.
Yes.
I don't think that's appropriate. Would definitely have been multi-pane windows, and the whole block is multi-pane windows, so that bothers me a little bit. Do you think there's a possibility that they would have been as 1/1? It just
I
doesn't
guess-
seem, from 1830, it doesn't seem. Could you add
Yeah.
dividing lights to the windows, or these type of windows?
And-
We could add simulated
Yeah.
divided lights.
Uh-huh.
The issue that we have with that is that given that the triple glazing, you can see
Yeah, that's
the
fine.
thickness of that material, that applying a simulated divided light,
Spacers.
we don't feel would be visually very effective.
I think it's a missed opportunity, just since you mentioned the buildings from 1830, whatever. And then I also just have a general question about, why do you guys have two means of egress in a building that's not 75 feet tall? You know, it doesn't seem to be a requirement that I know of. So you guys might want to look into that. A building that's 75 feet tall with 5 stories only needs one means of egress.
We are,
Check that out.
yeah, we can double check
Yeah, it
that.
might
I'm
save some
fairly
space.
certain, working with our code consultant, because of the multifamily use, we do need to.
You should press him on that.
I mean,
and-
I think from a usability standpoint, there's also advantages to the service entrance.
To the
So
stairs.
that's-
Okay, I'm also just kind of puzzled by, I'm just more of a question, like, why wouldn't you add more, it's definitely an underbuilt building, and we have a very, you're building this pergola kind of thing, you didn't want to consider adding another floor, instead of that?
We, actually, it's complicated because this building is, was converted to residential use under the loft law, so it just,
Is it a loft law building still?
It is,
yeah,
yes.
and it will continue to be, and by adding on top, I think Johnny might know a little bit more than I do, it was, I'm not sure that.
Some other strings attached,
Yeah,
that's fine.
so.
Yes.
Okay, alright.
Chi?
I support it.
Yeah, good.
Except for the disability, but.
Yeah, yeah. Liz?
I don't have any.
Mark?
Yeah, I have the same issue with the little kids. But I'm curious, is this gonna be coming down the pipe for everything now that's in the floodplain? We're gonna have to deal with these big
Well,
bulkheads,
I mean, look at
hodgepodge of
the
bulkheads all
Seaport
over.
Museum. I mean, you know, it's a problem.
So
Oh,
if
they're
that,
doing it next door. You know, I think you weren't, they're adding an elevator to the gallery building.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, and they did a good job. That was
How
last
high
And how high is that?
how high is that?
Not as high.
Not as high.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because there's no roof access?
That's
Well,
true.
you know,
That's true.
right.
That is
So
why.
that's
Second
commercial
sentence
versus multifamily residential, right?
Sure.
But
You okay with the materials?
materials I am with, but
Good.
not with the bulkhead.
Okay, Bruce?
Yeah, I have issues with bulkhead and I have issues with the water table, but as a whole, I am not planning to vote to reject it
Right.
on that basis.
Yeah, I mean, I think one would have to say that you know, knowing the owner aside, I mean, this is going to be an extremely good precedent of passive housing, and I think we're dealing with the compromises and issues that come up with when you're using triple depth, and so, you know, I think we need to counter the historic issues with the fact that they're spending a lot of money to make this a very 21st century forward-looking property. And I think the bulkhead issue is a compromise for the fact that you've got ADA and we're in a floodplain. But the quality of the materials here are pretty outstanding.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think in the resolution, it should be noted that, there are buildings comparable that don't have as high a bulkhead. And understanding that the use differences factored into it, so we're not,
Yeah.
hitting the head with it later when someone has a commercial building or something like that.
Yeah. Sure. I'll do that.
I mean, we could support it based on, this block has basically every building has one of these little pop-ups. So
Yeah.
it's a block where it works, maybe there's another block where it doesn't work so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that that's the point, to
Yeah.
be just a little
Okay.
careful
Swallow.
that we
Yeah.
don't do it for
Okay, so, those in favor of the resolution, noting those, issues, well, comments about the height of the bulkhead, but recognising that in light of the use, we agree that that is a reasonable, outcome. In favour? Okay, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0?
Abstain.
801. Okay, great. When's your hearing?
February 4th.
February 4th.
Before you leave,
Yes.
and Ramesh,
Yeah.
maybe you could chime in on this.
here.
The original application referred to interior renovations.
Yes.
Then it was modified,
The original application from,
that we received
Oh,
from
yeah.
whomever.
Well, I
Okay,
think that was
yes.
Ramesh's interpretation of it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so Jason's going to
I
look at
see.
all of this,
okay.
so that it helps Ramesh go, oh, it's more than that.
Even this, it's modified with associated exterior work, and in all my years,
Yeah.
it's not, this is
Right.
major exterior work.
Major
It's
bulkhead
irrelevant that
addition,
the
da, da, da,
exterior-
da, da. Yeah, but
the
Ramesh isn't an
interior
architect.
is-
We
He's
got
not an
an
architect,
Yeah, and he's a
yeah,
busy
but he's
man.
gotta-
So,
Okay.
so what's going to happen is we're going to ask Ramesh to send a draft of the agenda to Jason.
Yep.
Jason's just going to chat it through with Ramesh. You're going to make
Yep.
the edits, and out it goes, right?
Good.
I just have one last question. How many units are you going to have?
4 units.
And they're floor through,
Yes.
by how many square feet each unit?
Approximately
Um,
2,400. This was a limitation because of the loft law status of the building. The minimum
It's,
apartment size, I believe, is 1,400 square feet under loft law.
yes.
So we couldn't have more
Yeah.
than 1 unit per floor.
Okay.
Good.
I just was
Okay.
curious, thank you.
Very nice job. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to deal with 25 Broad. Now, we had a very thorough presentation from Josh and everybody, XYP or whatever they're called, WXY, last month, but we weren't quorate. We wish Joshua had been a member, then he could have voted and we'd be okay. Joshua attends every public member, every committee as a to-be public member, hopefully one of these days.
Ah,
This is Bruce.
hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
So we have the resolution that I drafted last month. Let's go through it. Whereas by whereas. So the application is the first implementation of the work on improving the Stock Exchange district issued by the Downtown Alliance in May 2018. This is from the report that many of us were on the committee of. The recommendations have been funded at the recommendations have not been funded at an estimated cost of up to 70 million, less than 10% of the DOT annual budget. The Downtown Alliance has allocated funding for the design, build and maintenance of benches on Broad and Wall Street. The designs are sensitive to the fact that Broad and Wall Streets are part of the landmarked roadbed, the only such landmark in the city. The designs also acknowledge the tapering historic curbs along Broad Street. There will be 2 benches on Broad Street. There will be 2 benches on Broad Street that are 32 feet long and taper from 9 feet to less than 7 feet. Opposite the Stock Exchange, they will flank the Fearless Girl. The bench on Wall Street will be opposite Federal Hall, 24 feet long, and taper from 5 feet to 2 feet. The benches are freestanding and raised off the road curb to facilitate drainage and incorporate an element for seasonal plantings. The benches will incorporate half-inch notches to discourage skateboarding. The bench design is ADA compliant. The bench design incorporates an element for small railings to be added later if it turns out that they are used by the homeless. The material used will be glass fiber reinforced concrete with colour that fits appropriately with the original granite curb. This material is strong, durable, easy to maintain, and has been used successfully in other locations. One member of the committee did not like incorporating a plant adjacent, feeling the street should remain without any seasonal plantings. The committee supported the design, noting they would accentuate the magnificent view corridors. Therefore, be it resolved, CB1 recommends the Landmarks Preservation Commission approve the application. Be further resolved that CB1 calls upon the city to prioritise the funding for the entire vision in 2020.
We have a typo there.
Says 2021.
Here it is,
Yeah.
funding of the entire.
Oh,
or
funding
for the
of-
entire.
for the
One or
entire,
other,
yeah,
either way.
for. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I wasn't here.
Yep.
I have two questions. First of all, I'm just curious what the historic tapering curbs are.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the, do you have the,
corner?
yeah, so at the corner of JP Morgan Building,
Yeah, which I know where that is.
they have a historic photograph that shows, as it went down Broad Street, there was initially one curb and then a second curb, because it drops down quite a lot.
Wow.
It's beautiful, actually.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
And what are they doing with that?
Well, it's not there now, it's been
Oh.
taken out,
Oh,
but they
okay.
were trying to connote that with
Okay.
the idea of this
That was the
tapering.
point,
That
yeah.
was the
I see.
point. It was very nice. I mean, it's, you know, WXP or whatever they're called, I mean, this is, they do a very, you know, they're good designers.
Yeah.
It was well done.
They're good
I
designers.
happen to agree now with Jason as I walked up
As
and
I
down
do
around
too,
the green.
because I know that
I don't
very
like the
well.
planters.
Well, this is why you can vote, or we can decide to amend it if we choose, that's why it's here.
Members of the committee.
So say
I-
they should not
I mean,
be
these
planted?
seasonal plantings were, I mean, they're not,
They're not so
they're not
robust.
dominating
Not a big thing,
they're not dominating these benches, and
I had
you know-
mentioned also that they would be places for like garbage.
Exactly.
Cigarette
I
butts.
know
Yeah,
that
that's
they-
what
so
I-
well here,
well,
and that's
but
what's
they-
going
you
on.
know, but for those of us that work and live around
Yes,
there,
Roger, but-
you know, there's somebody on you every second of the day. I mean, it's not like you can be flicking your cigarette butts down the street, Jason. I mean, it's
Not like the 80s.
not like the 80s. No.
And no dog is gonna go pee in them.
Oh, sure.
Well, sure, but they, you know, I mean, you
Of
can't.
course.
And
More
by
likely,
seasonal, what
person
do
will
we?
do it now.
Well, they'll have, you know, spring daffodils and summer whatevers and fall.
No, I'm just saying because I know
I
all
don't know,
those,
I happen to, yeah, it's not, but it's, I can't, you know.
all those planters all over the place. Usually in winter, they're empty.
No, I mean, for example, if you look at Fosun Plaza, they put down branches of
Yes,
Christmas trees.
yes, Fosun
It can
Plaza
be
is
tastefully done, and it's
privately,
being
yeah.
maintained by the Downtown Alliance. If we don't like it, we call up Jessica and say, can you please do this instead of that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so,
Okay,
I,
fine.
You seem very,
well, I just,
Passionate about
well,
it, so
we were all part of this committee, and
was
we
too,
felt a little bit of softening wouldn't be a bad thing. You know, just a little.
We're going with you, chief.
We're gonna let you have your way.
you sound,
Some of
so-
us.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
So anyway, do you want me to put several committee members weren't in favour of the?
Yes.
Okay, several. Okay,
right.
one now.
It's
Several
okay.
members.
I-
Which is
Do you
more than
wanna-
a couple
do you
by
wanna-
one.
Do you wanna state why?
No, it's
Yeah.
obvious.
Mark.
Are you sure? Nothing's obvious.
Yeah,
Ever.
it is several but you.
Okay.
No, to the LPC, nothing's obvious.
Well, LPC.
Yeah, right.
And I will not withdraw that statement.
In defense of the LPC now, I just want to say, I testified there for the first time in a long time on behalf of a resolution we did on that heinous mansion proposed for Collister Place. And the LPC was very focused and very understanding of each and every
Good
minute
to
element of the, and did consider our resolution. So I don't know if under Sarah, it's fair to say that they're mindless.
Well,
Whatever,
it
that's-
always helps if
Nobody
we
go that
find the
far.
time to go. But, you know, finding the time to go,
It's very
I mean,
hard.
you'd think after all this time that they would, but
Okay.
Did you
Sarah,
distribute that article to the committee that wrote about that, 11 U route?
It's
actually pretty
Probably,
good.
I think it
Yeah.
was distributed.
Yeah, it was very.
Okay.
Yeah.
let's
Okay.
move on.
Oh, shall we
So,
vote?
Do you want me to do 15?
so on that, can we vote for,
Yeah.
so those in favour?
Yes, yes. Okay.
So that's unanimous.
Okay, 15
Are you gonna do,
Buckwell.
yeah, thank you,
Sure.
Joe, Bruce.
Who's Jerry?
You are.
You said Jerry.
Bruce, I said, thank you, Bruce.
You
did.
Jerry.
No. You're not a Jared.
No, thank you.
Jared Kushner?
No,
No.
he said Jerry, I thought.
Jared. No, I said thank you, Bruce.
Okay. I'm afraid, I'm very afraid,
Of this application?
because I like this building.
Well, no, you should really like it more after this application.
Okay.
Valerie
That's what they
Campbell from
always say,
Kramer
Valerie,
Brothers.
right? How many
Yes,
times have you
yes.
told us that?
No, well, this is.
No,
You know
no.
the building,
I'm
okay?
okay, I can see it from there.
Okay,
It was an early skyscraper constructed in 1896, designed by R.H. Robinson. For about 10 years, it was the tallest building in the world. It was on what was known as Newspaper Row, housed the Associated Press Agency. The ground floor and the storefronts were modified in 1930, and those modifications are considered historically significant. So what you're seeing incorporates the 1930 design. So application is for a storefront master plan, which would be binding on future tenants, and we're scheduled for a public hearing on February 8th. John Zimmer from Fogarty Finger will present the application.
Hello. John Zimmer, as Valerie said. I just wanted to add, our client for this is the old J&R music owners. You all remember J&R in the base of this building.
Yep.
So Rochelle Friedman and her husband still own the building. We've been working with them for a very long time on interiors projects to convert commercial into residential, and it's now essentially an apartment building. But again, as Valerie said, all we're here to talk about today is this lower level and a little bit of it also that appears on Ann Street. You all know the building and the location very well.
Yeah, all those weird boys.
And you know, J&R used to.
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah,
You're not telling
yeah.
us what we don't know.
We were canvassed, I don't know how many times to make it J&R Way.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
God we did.
Yeah.
Yes, thank God,
Yeah.
thank God. All right, go on.
So, two photos. The tax photo from the 40s actually incorporates the renovation from 1930 that was Art Deco-ish in its feel. And you have the original look of the building on the left. Interestingly, you know, the 1930 renovation wasn't really all that kind to the building. It pulled the original design had a nice centered entrance and symmetrical bays on either side. And we'll see it more closely later, but the
It's a
1930
Willis
renovation.
station wagon with a wood panel.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
These-
No, over there.
the old
No,
office.
to the right.
The old
I
office.
noticed it
Yeah, yeah,
immediately,
yeah, the-
having
the
grown up
closest-
in California,
The
yes.
closest, sorry, but it's
Go on.
just, it's history.
This thing here.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's fantastic, and this was a beautiful
The building next to it is rent for rent.
So there you are.
So there you are, and this is 2000s, but not current. This is probably about 3 or 4 years ago. They had, or actually, I'm going to say it was probably more like 8 or 10 years ago. These awnings aren't there currently.
The Prius wasn't introduced till then.
Yeah.
See, Mark never talks about the Prius.
You
He's
can
just
date it by the cab design, though, so you know.
So this is presumably, I would say even later than that because of the cars and because the fact that the windows are now empty. It wasn't 10 years ago that they moved out. But anyway, be that as
I mean,
it
they've been they went to a mail order business only for an online business, I think about 7 years ago or something like that.
Okay, well,
Oh, okay, so call
So-
it 210.
The red boxes indicate the storefront areas that we are modifying. The intent here is to do a restoration. There are no new materials proposed. Everything is to match and complement existing. There are a few issues that we have to grapple with. One is ADA, obviously. This is the building, entrance to the residential portion of the building. It's already complete and not part of this application. So we're talking about retail entrances. We need to make them accessible, and we need to, as part of the master plan, we have different options for different numbers of retail entrances, and you all know what is happening to retail these days. Our client would love to rent this entire space to one person. It is improbable in today's environment that they'll be able to do that, so we have different retail configurations and are looking for approval for different options for them to move forward. This one shows a retail entrance to a basement space, a small retail space here that is presumably a little sandwich shop or coffee shop or something. And then this one is divided into 1, 2, or 3 separate retail spaces.
Oh, I'm sorry, if it's 1, 2, 3, if it's 3, you only have one door showing.
I have plans that show the
This,
different options.
this is
Oh,
existing,
that
This is
elevation
one.
existing,
Yes, the
existing.
elevation would
So you
change.
have three.
Three
or
different-
two.
We're gonna see that.
Tell them if they give a good price, I'm sure they can get a good tenant.
They don't wanna give good prices,
Ah,
go on.
that's the deal.
That's the deal, keep going.
Let's keep going.
Everybody's greedy.
Let's keep going.
Not everybody.
I love
Just
this
landlords.
lady.
Okay.
Go on.
This is the current condition.
Yeah.
So these are, and this framework that you see is actually temporarily exposed. What is the quote-unquote current version is the black aluminum panels that you've seen there for years, not glass.
Where's that? What are you referring to
In this,
specifically?
in
Right
this
there.
area
Okay,
right
right,
here.
right,
So
right.
there is no transom glass
Okay.
in any of these openings.
Correct.
You can see these entrances are non-historic. They've got very unattractive louver bands. These are the all-glass Herculite doors in lieu of the more appropriate framed historic doors.
And these were installed, what, in the 60s? Something like that?
I'm gonna
70s.
say later, yeah.
I would
Okay.
say later.
70s,
Okay.
yeah. And we'll talk in more detail about the marquee at the end, which is also just clad currently in black aluminum metal. It was actually done only about, I think, 12 years ago, or 15, and was approved by landmarks at the time. But,
Michelle and group were quite influential.
Yes.
So these are detail shots of the various conditions. You can see the finish on this metal, which we believe to be a coating, is decaying, delaminating, wearing away. If you look at the overall facade, you can see this patchiness in the finish that is quite unattractive.
What is that, just metal behind there?
It's a
Type?
variety of base metals. It's actually not all solid bronze.
Okay.
It's different base metals with a coating on top of it, and we think that's original from the 30s. Laminating metal, deteriorated and damaged stone, old, I think that's epoxy from a previous sign.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you made the case that
Needs work.
It needs work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which
Okay.
isn't to say that it can't be restored. None of this is corroded through but, okay, so you made that case, so
Well, actually,
let's,
our case is to restore it, so
Right,
we're
right.
not
Okay.
trying to make an argument for.
okay.
Go to the next, go,
Yes.
go.
It's not like we're restoring what,
Oh,
1980s?
It's okay.
I don't want to restore anything from 1980.
So here is
No,
the,
it's not 1980s, it's 1930s. We're talking about the 1930s.
That's
Yeah,
what.
yeah, okay. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
We're-
Let's keep
we're now
they're
on
trying to
page-
get.
Yes.
Okay, go.
So here's our proposal. I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
That's all right, we're fine. We just chitch. Go on.
We want to reclad leave the existing structure of the marquee and reclad it in bronze, and we want to take the retail entrance that's currently right here and flip it over a bay, because we feel it provides more balance for a separate retailer with that marquee.
And the marquee stays?
The marquee stays and gets reclad in bronze.
Bronze.
Which page
The
are you on
rationale
now?
for that is
Oh,
what?
you're not page
9.
eight.
9.
9.
9.
9.
10. You're on
Nine.
9.
But 9 is this.
Yeah.
But that's not
What,
what's up.
what,
Oh, okay.
Maybe
Well,
this doesn't match.
I see.
It's-
This is the updated.
what the young lady's trying to say, use the right file, but the presenter's saying they won't notice.
Is this,
I'm looking at 9, I don't know.
is this the new?
That's the new.
Yeah, yeah, what-
Well, with
Maybe
all,
you should
with all
change
that
it,
book
you
up,
know.
I was getting
There
really
you go.
scared, but this isn't bad.
Yes,
I was so
everybody,
scared,
everybody
you know,
was a little
justifying,
anxious.
oh, we're gonna tear it down. epoxy mark.
And it's a very nice room.
It's a very nice one.
Yeah, yeah.
Where are you going?
Now we need a technical pause, right?
I want to see the real, that I can see the color and the whole gestalt.
Okay. Thank you.
But I don't
Can we start
understand,
from the beginning?
No, it's all right. Just jump to
So this
page
building was
9.
built in 1899. I don't actually think that.
It's going down. Final solution.
ow, you didn't say that. You said the final solution?
Yeah,
Oh,
whatever you
okay.
propose.
She-
You gotta move on.
No, goodness.
Final.
Don't use that.
Yeah.
Can't use that.
Really.
It's okay.
Oh, in architecture, we call it a solution, so.
Oh, just take it out. Yeah, that's good. Gotcha.
Mm, mm.
So I oversold how bad it is today, is that what?
Yes.
Well, we're gonna be, that's why your assistant was trying to say,
So
don't
while-
get to page 9 with that.
While you're alleviating technical difficulties, I'm curious, what is indicated here on one of the marquees is J&R still, but this is your new proposal, right?
So they have a tenant lined up for the basement space.
Okay.
And that tenant
We're
loves
not
the
shut
fact that
there.
J&R
Can we-
used to be here. Yeah.
Sorry, please don't, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So they want to incorporate the J&R logo into the new retail tenant. There
There's
will
going
be
to
a
be
partnership.
Is there gonna be like a bar, lounge?
The-
What does it
Yes.
say? The J&R Music Lounge?
Oh, I didn't see that. Smart cookie. Oh.
Yeah.
Remember,
Well, the albums
instead
used to
of,
be there.
instead of their name on the street,
It's
was
going
gonna
to
be
be a
there.
marquee.
Yeah, so, that's okay. That's all right. But they're not,
You're gonna see them
when they come out.
All right, now you're talking.
They'll want a liquor
Right.
license.
Thank you.
They're gonna want a
Oh,
nice
yes,
liquor
they will.
license.
They will want a liquor license, so
Yeah.
that was on before the.
Put it on the.
Okay,
Which?
let's keep going,
And a DJ.
please.
Yes,
I'm not here
exactly.
about a liquor license.
What?
I'm not here
Okay,
about a
so
liquor
that's a lot
license.
better.
J&R DJ.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So we are looking for approval for the storefront changes and signage tonight. And yes, somebody may be back someday to talk about.
Oh, it's City Winery. That's,
It could be.
yes, it says J&R by City Winery.
Oh, I'm glad, I can't read that. Yeah, no, it's right there. We just have to look.
You're pitching the bad stuff and leaving out the good stuff. I don't get it, but go ahead. We like City Winery.
Wait, is this the one that came last month?
All right, keep,
Yeah,
like,
keep
it's 7
going.
I
o'clock.
wasn't, no, we never had this. No,
Okay,
Mark.
please.
Keep going.
I'm gonna keep
For licensing.
No.
We get into some of the elevation views, the existing conditions.
No.
This shows the black aluminum spandrel panels, the glass, the
No.
black flat marquee,
Yes.
For
the
something
Herculite
else,
doors.
for something else.
And this is where we're headed.
Yes, but we'll have to look.
Restoring the bronze.
Last gen.
We do also,
Can you
we
please?
intend to restore the stone, refinish the bronze elements, and basically make it all look like new to the extent possible.
They already
Oh,
got
so
their
that's
liquor
two and that's three retail,
So,
okay.
so here's option
Wow.
one,
Chinese
which
menu.
goes with
Right.
a full floor
Yeah,
Yeah, we
retail.
single tenants.
Here's option two, which goes with 2 retail tenants.
Mm-hmm.
And option three, which goes with 3 retail tenants.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
And the vocabulary is always the same. It's a little bit awkward because these bay sizes are not equal, and that is not fixable. Trying to find both the right language and the right balance of openings.
Yep, okay,
Okay,
that's clear.
yeah.
More detail on the marquee, that's the existing condition.
Yeah.
This is the
I think it's
proposed-
really very, I'm sorry, I do think it's really nice.
I do too, and without belaboring the next 55 pages, I mean, I now see everything including Ann Street.
Now, you let the young woman that went before me do her whole spiel.
Okay, go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
but you know that's why you got to go on first. You
That's
see.
right.
We get rowdy after the first one, as you can see.
Plan showing the two, I can go next. It's
No,
plan
we
showing
get
the
it.
two
We get
towers.
it.
We get it, it's really,
So the
and
So-
that little triangle in the back,
Real quickly.
the
Well,
back.
Oh, yeah.
that we're getting to, that's.
Yeah, yeah, I want to
worth
see
going
that,
to.
that's
Oh,
it.
wait, what material are you proposing? It's all base metal that's painted?
That's right.
What's that?
The finish for the storefront
Yes.
is base metal. It's coated, not necessarily just a painted
And-
finish, but it's coated. And that's both the
Yeah,
current
that's
and the
the-
historic condition.
So it was never bronze or copper?
No, and we have a slide at the end that shows the different, they were alloys, but they weren't a consistent base metal. There's brassier elements, there's copperier elements, and it's not consistent across the facade. I think they.
Is something preponderant?
That I don't know. We've done.
So, I
test
mean,
samples.
Is there a base metal finial and 80% of it is brass,
Let me show you.
for instance?
They have a slide, yeah.
You can see here, that's a higher copper content, that's a lot of brass, and that's a more of a bronze alloy. And this is the coated finish at the end.
So where is that detail, just out of curiosity? Where does it exist on the building?
That one is on the front here. Which I think it's still like that, actually. You can walk by it and look at it. What it shows on these photos or not. I think it's peanuts. It's over there.
If you go to page 8.
Okay,
you see the same one, and on the building is
okay, so in this particular detail, it's like a third, and a third, okay. What I'm getting at is that you're not proposing to, if the 1930s material was preponderantly brass or copper, you're not proposing to eliminate it and change it out to base metal because it's very varied now. It's
Right.
probably like,
That's correct.
nothing is 60%, there's no 60% composition, right, of something?
So we haven't done this level of stripping on the
Okay.
entire facade. Obviously, the work hasn't been done. So I don't know for sure. That is our sense from having done a little bit of testing, is that nothing is predominant.
And what are you going to do
And
for the underlayment? Are you getting rid of all the facade material now and replacing it with this base metal finish?
we aren't replacing any metal that exists
Okay.
in good condition. So all of the base metal will
That's-
remain.
Yeah, that's
in
fine.
good
Okay, that's
condition.
good.
We will stop it.
Okay, go to the back
Thank
door.
you.
Back door, and
Back-
So we're back to 34.
You passed it.
34.
Oh, you said hell, page 34.
Right.
There we are.
Tax photo, existing condition, you can see there.
Yeah.
Some transom glass here.
We're very rowdy, sorry.
And a nice storefront condition today.
Yeah.
Obviously unfortunate. Roll down gate. There are existing historic elements. This is a pilaster here adjacent to this service entrance. We
Roger,
believe
what page is
this
that?
is
34,
an existing
30.
water table and bulkhead that has been painted over.
Wow,
Obviously, none of that is original, but you can see under the paint here, this cornice that has some original detail. And we're going to save everything we can. Badly deteriorated granite base and better view of some of these historic details to remain.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we're proposing. So we need more egress width because of the possible tenant in the basement.
yeah.
So, rather than doing a set of double doors, we are doing two individual leaves so that we can retain this existing bronze pilaster between the two doors,
Right.
and then creating a bulkhead condition that centers the opening and.
Very nice, I like that.
What, on page 35, I'm a little bit confused about the two images. What does the image, what is what here? See the left side versus the right, what are they? What are we looking at?
Same thing, right?
Same thing,
Front on and side on,
What's
that's
that?
all.
elevation
Same
and
thing.
just the same. It's just, that's detail.
One is-
This is.
One is more
Oh, it's
Detail
much
that.
closer, I see, got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's
All
all.
right, let's keep going then, let's go on.
Okay.
That's
well,
very
that's
nicely
it.
done.
Nice,
Yeah,
very nice.
very nicely done.
And I'm sorry, they're gonna clean up that stone, right?
Yeah, we're gonna repair all
He's
of
gonna
this.
do everything.
We're gonna make it
Thank you.
all lovely. I mean, the
Oh, it'll be
changes
really nice.
on this block and up in this neighborhood are
Well, that
remarkable.
block,
You can go first
you wanna
with me.
give Bruce to the bid.
I'll talk now.
Yeah. Let's get through quickly, it's 10 past 7.
I know.
Well, no, I mean, just when you pass down.
Last time,
Oh,
yeah.
it's been under construction.
Yeah, yeah.
for
Forever.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
You're
let's,
the first applicant probably ever who
9:30.
wanted to
Oh, no,
go through the
presentation.
entire sheet.
It's really nice.
to sum it up then,
Okay.
New retail entrances, it's, we hope a
It's a
responsible
beautiful job.
restoration.
yeah,
And-
very
Very
nicely
nice.
done. So let's
Yeah.
go around quickly, Susan?
So the only thing I have is the marquee. That's my only, I like the marquee, but not JR. But everything else is terrific.
But that's the signage.
Yeah, the
Issue.
signage.
Oh, wait a
Okay.
minute,
I should talk
that's,
more
we
about the
didn't
signage,
get to
yeah.
the signage, and
Well, I
that's
thought-
important,
Well,
because,
when your turn
Well, you-
comes.
Okay,
oh, okay.
but this is it, right?
It's this, but there is more, actually. So we are
Which is-
looking for signage approval for this.
Yeah.
Which is back,
As a master plan, this is actually bronze letters attached to the outside face of the glass with vinyl backing, so
Right.
that when you
So
look
that's
out.
the
you can
font you'll use, whatever the case may be,
No,
that shows up?
we are proposing consistent material as bronze and a maximum height, which is what you see here,
Right.
but to allow the tenants to do
Something.
their own font and their own.
So then they would have to come back to us for that.
no.
No.
If they're doing their.
The master plan would then be
We'd allow
The
them
master
to
implemented,
plan.
yeah.
Well, we don't know what a font we're approving.
That would be at staff
We're approving a height
level.
in the material,
Yeah.
we're not approving a font.
Yeah,
Or also a
We've had
percentage
that
of
before.
coverage.
We've had
But
signage,
we've done it before, right,
but it's,
where
they
you
just
get
come
a
from the
master plan.
signage, yeah, so.
Because
So you
you're
don't
coming
need
for
to-
something that's not part of A, a master plan, or B, part of the staff level approval, but, you know, a bigger blade sign, for example, or a flag. I mean, we've seen these.
Yes.
Yeah, but they would have to come back, not
Yes.
for the,
Okay, so you're gonna note that, Bruce?
Well, give me clarity, what am I noticing?
Well, we're saying that there's 3 elements to the signage. There's the J&R, there's the proposed signage on the marquee,
Yes.
which would be co-branded with the owner. And then there would be a standard bronze
Lettered,
projected letter at a certain size, which would be applied as a master plan for tenants to modify with their own font.
Yes, but not their own material.
Not their own material, and the
Cool.
height
Okay.
of the master plan signage letters is what?
You can see that on the elevations, page 10,
How many inches?
I think
For
it's-
11.
11 inches?
No, that's the page.
Just give us, tell us.
that's very big, isn't it?
Well, it's a pretty big signage
12
band.
inches, max height is
How many inches?
12 inches high.
12 inches high. On a signage band which is how wide?
It depends, if we go to the next page, John. Then, so for that, we keep a 5-inch minimum from each side.
Right.
And that's, the box you see, the dotted line, is wherever the signage can be in.
Yeah. So it's restricted by the transom size.
Right.
so
Correct.
I just want to say that frighteningly, I almost have no objections, and, you know, there's so much going on here. I even like the vaguely Art Deco black marquee against the bronze-colored background. It
Yeah.
reminds me of the American Standard Building.
Yeah.
But if you look at the one page, the one thing that gives me pause is if they go to the maximum number of retail spaces.
Yeah.
There are so many signs, and the marquee sign, and the and space sign. To me, it's too many signs. Even J&R, in its day across the whole block, had one consistent sign. This will be, okay, it'll all be bronze, various fonts, so the whole sign band will be up to four,
Yeah,
with
but
different fonts, and J&R font, and
Well,
that's the
right.
That was
only.
my
You're
concern
right.
about
That,
the
now,
inconsistent
yeah,
font.
that's my own, that's my
That's why I
problem.
mentioned.
No, but
Otherwise-
this is a fairly large base, and there are only four, signages, and I would say.
Five, actually, also
Oh, no,
J&R.
that J&R has to go, that's fine.
Oh.
But this four here with, what I think standardized, I'm sorry, I never liked the logo, I love the story.
And there's a.
all right. Let's try and let Vicky finish.
So I think that this base is large enough to sustain this, I understand your point. It would be terrible if one was red, one was black, the other one was gold, one was, sideways. Everybody putting in their round piece, no.
Okay,
But
so-
you can do this, I've done this before myself, where you actually tell, you make a plate, and then the tenants have to conform to it. Now, otherwise,
We've
it's
done,
very-
landlord signage, requirements for many buildings around town, and then,
Right.
and tenants resist, they all want to have as big of a sign and as colorful of a sign, and.
Ruins the building.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is so lovely.
And to their credit, our client doesn't want that either, right? They've been here for a very long time, and they want to do the right thing.
So just
And-
make a boilerplate, they all.
So-
Okay,
they
but
do
you
it
have
slowly.
you have an issue with the use
No,
of.
the marquee, yeah.
Right. Okay,
it's just-
Severa.
Can I, before you all have the discussion, I do have one more thing to add that I didn't mention, and I should, and it doesn't show on the rendering, which is why I forgot to mention it. But if you look at this image, this is this is a fixed characters that, if it were City Winery, if that all goes through, would be kind of who's coming,
Right, it's a
playing
real
tonight
marquee
kind
with
of thing.
changing
Yeah.
letters.
Yeah.
and I saw that, it's a white background, just like an old movie.
Well, that's, what they'd like to do is actually a digital sign.
Say no.
Oh, and I thought it was perfect.
See, that's
Okay.
why.
See, that's very
I'm with
honest
you.
of you, thank you,
But
but
that's
no.
why you can't, if you're talking about fonts in the master plan, we have to now specifically mention that.
No digital.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oof,
Yeah,
right.
so-
Thank
So
you.
Vera-
Because it might be
Static
assumed
image.
by LPC that the digital is in the master
No.
plan. So-
Because otherwise, it becomes programmatically very difficult to have to stick up individual signs for,
ladder out.
yeah, I mean, you have a show on Saturday, you have one on Friday, different people, so.
Film Forum still does.
What we have done and what LPC has approved in the past is there's limitations on the levels of illumination.
Yes.
Okay, what are
Sometimes-
those things, in this case?
Yeah,
I don't
we,
like digital.
we can provide guidelines and that also that they're dimmed when the bar
when the
is not
venue's
in
dark.
operation.
So as of right now, you don't have standards like you do with the other signs? You said we can and we will, there are no.
We can
right now-
provide those. Right now, the package doesn't include that.
Right,
It's
okay.
typical and we are happy to do that.
So
Okay, keep
Vera.
going.
On the back door, Ann Street, you're removing a historical element on the bottom, right? that
That's
piece.
correct.
Is there any way to save it and cut it or put on both sides, Can you see that?
Vera, where is that? Oh, that's interesting. I missed
The
that.
back
34,
door. Somewhere.
right?
Yeah, you know how you're getting rid of that bottom piece right there on the
So we're
right?
inserting a new door here.
Could you reuse that piece? You're gonna,
So,
but on your new
We have one on the
design,
other side.
yeah, you're gonna put,
I can only say we can try,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I
On the
see
side,
that.
you're gonna have something,
Yeah,
if you could.
we do want to recreate it on the other side.
Right, if you can put,
So if
cut
I
it in
can,
half
if
and use that
it can
material and
happen,
put
the
it
problem is when you try and do things like that,
It may not,
obviously,
but if you could
yeah.
try.
Oh, we can,
Okay, Jason.
I just wanted to make sure you guys thought about, like, how you're getting fresh air into these retail spaces, or any sort of ventilation out. Are you able to get it up the whole building?
oh my God, I have spent so much time talking about ventilation
Great.
for these spaces.
Because I don't want to have you come back here and tell me you're gonna turn the whole thing into
No,
louvers.
the one louver we're showing is the one louver we need.
Wonderful.
There's a huge
Well-
one on Ann Street.
There's two on Ann
The
Street.
street and, the two on end, right.
So we have this one.
Uh-huh. And the material of that is to match,
Yep,
basically
is
color,
to match
right?
the
Okay.
adjacent.
Mhm.
And then we have on Ann Street.
Yeah, we all saw
We have the
that.
big ones on the upper floor. on the
Yeah, we
basement.
saw
We
that.
saw
on
that.
set.
Okay.
We saw that.
Anything
So
else,
most of-
Jason?
Most of the air for this is provided from a courtyard rooftop that's at the third story on the interior of the building. We built that in actually 3 years ago to get ready for this.
We will.
Well, you don't say will, don't say.
That's what it's been.
Okay, Liz?
I think it's beautiful overall, I share the concerns about the marquee though.
Me too.
Eliminate the digital.
Mark?
Yeah, I think we should have a fairly clearly worded whereas in there that, that any alteration to the marquee, is not, should not be assumed as part of the master plan, and they should return to present it to us, whatever they're gonna put up there.
I like that.
In terms of the signage.
Signage.
Signage, we're not giving any
Signage,
trouble on
yeah,
anything else.
that's, not to include the retail space, but just the marquee.
The marquee.
So, I have, the only problem I have, again, is the signage. I'm in the minority of one, so I will eliminate my objection to the possibility of a string of 4 signs in the sign ban. I think, and we've done this before, I just think it's too much. But, let's stick to the marquee, because I'm confused now about what is desired.
So we're saying no digital application until it comes back.
So we're not
Exactly
giving, whatever
right.
alteration they're gonna put on there, on the marquee needs to come to see us.
That's right.
But they've
sign.
stated here that there will be a sign that says JNR. We know that. There's a lease negotiation. City Winery has already announced this. I've seen it, and so that is the proposed signage on the
Face of-
parallel, the face sign, and then there's the digital sides on each side. That's
It's
so
two
that's what we have
separate
to deal with. We're saying we don't want digital, is that correct
Right,
at all?
that's
Correct,
correct.
correct.
And this is the proposal, there's nothing to come back to.
Right, so
You can tell them
I
you
think
don't want
apart
to
from
come back with a
Vinky,
different design.
apart
No, not the JNR sign, whatever is gonna be proposed where.
On the
for
side
On the
panels.
side panels,
Yeah.
with a digital
Right.
or other.
So we accept the JNR sign because
With,
you
with,
objected to
with
that.
I
one
can live with
member,
that.
with one member,
Okay.
yeah, so
I can
it's
live with
one
it.
member had a comment about the,
I don't like it, but I'll go with it.
right, so,
I
but the
don't think
digital.
we like it, but I think it is.
Can live with it.
We can live with it.
Look at it this way, it's better than
As long
having
as it's
had
not
the whole
digital.
street named.
Yeah.
Yes.
And-
Okay.
But we're very
Okay, let's keep
clear on the,
focused.
very just quickly, those 4 panels will be consistent, the size, everything about them.
That's gotta be-
Until they
Just
actually
okay.
get done. And then-
No, that's
No,
what,
I want that in there, come
no,
on.
it's gonna
Fonts
be
should be
as
different.
presented within the signage band,
That's right.
with
Yeah.
uniformity,
That's why I
and
asked
we'll
that
be
question.
giving a violation if your tenants don't follow that.
I think we should try for
I asked,
that.
you wanna
Okay.
ask, you ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we put in that the
Could we
fonts would
put
be
in, we'd like
Yeah,
that
I did.
too.
Within the
Yeah.
signage
We want
band,
it in.
all to be
That's what-
bronze.
That's right.
Okay, so in favor of the resolution
Yeah,
as amended?
with the note about the
Yeah,
digital.
yeah.
Okay, so that's 9. Okay, great,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
When are you
Thank you
going
for-
to LPC? What date?
I think it's the 11th.
11th.
Thank you for a more complete and comprehensive presentation than we even wanted.
I apologize if I was too wordy.
No, that's very good.
It was